what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the Italy Pro, this weekend's bodybuilding competition, the lineup has been released. And I'm both surprised and also not surprised at all to see that Rubiel Mosquera Neckzilla is apparently now not doing the show. Now, I don't know if this means maybe there's a chance we see him do the UK Pro next week, but I wouldn't hold my breath if you're looking forward to seeing Neckzilla on stage. I feel like maybe we're not going to see him again this year. I really don't know. And based on some of those earlier physique updates that we saw from Rubiel, maybe, I guess it was like 4 or 5 weeks out from this show, and that was when he started working back with his original coach, Fran Espen, so not the coach that he used for the Dubai Pro. And that was when his training partner, Angel Calderone, and his other friend both said now he's working with Fran to prepare for the Italy show. But it looks like we're not going to see him at that show. And like I said, I would not hold your breath expecting to see him at the UK show. But like I said in a previous video, even after these 2 qualifiers for this year's Olympia, before the end of the year, there are still quite a few other shows that are just qualifiers for next year's Olympia. So maybe we see him in one of those. I mean, it certainly seemed, when he was posting those physique updates and, working back with Fran, certainly seemed like they were prepping for something. And I mean, they said they were, or at least his friends and training partner did. But those updates that we saw, he was like way, way behind Hunter Labrada as far as conditioning. And it seems like the last few weeks, we've seen a ton of updates from Hunter and then really nothing from Rubiel. So I kind of had a feeling he was going to be out of this one. But enough said about Rubiel. He's not doing it. Let's get to who is actually competing. So you've got Ahmad Al-Rafai, Morgan Asti, Ali Edward, Enrico Hoffman, Hunter Labrada, Lorenzo Louis, Josh Malley, Diego Nunez, Dario Pelosi. Andrea Presti will be in this one, so he's probably, I would say, behind Hunter Labrada of these names, he's probably one of the guys that has a better chance of being in that top 2. Bruno Santos, Nathan Stiles, and Chris Ziller. And Morgan Asti is the guy that's like over 300 pounds. He's a former strongman competitor, French bodybuilder, but likely the 2 best bodybuilders in this lineup are going to be Hunter Labrada and Andrea Presti. And, no disrespect to any of these other guys, but now that we know this lineup, we know that Rubiel's not in it. We kind of already knew there weren't going to be really any other big names from the Olympia because everyone's pretty much qualified at this point. This seems like this is definitely Hunter Labrada's show to lose. And based on all the updates that we've seen from Hunter, he looks on, he looks razor sharp. I don't think he's going to be off at this show. And I think, frankly, he would have to be really extraordinarily off to lose this show. But again, this is the second to last qualifier for this year's Olympia. There is still that UK show next week, which is still a qualifier for open bodybuilding in 2024 at the Olympia. So, maybe we still see an interesting lineup there. I don't really know who's left that would do that show. Maybe there's a chance Rubiel shows up, but I kind of doubt it. But what I'm thinking there with Rubiel skipping this Italy show is if he was prepping and maybe still is prepping, maybe when he saw that Hunter Labrada was doing that show, he figured maybe the smart move would be Hunter wins that show, don't do that show. Hunter's going to beat me there. And then Hunter won't go on to the UK show, and likely there won't be any big names at the UK show. And if Neckzilla did that show, theoretically, I think he would be by far the favorite to win and would have much better odds at earning his Olympia qualification there if that's his goal to get to the Olympia this year. So I think we still could see it, and I could see theoretically maybe why it would make sense for him to skip Italy and just do that show, but really, who knows? And these updates that you're looking at right now are recent updates of Rubiel. I mean, it kind of looks like he's prepping. To me, he still looks like 6 weeks out. So maybe he does UK, maybe he doesn't. And the rumor mill has kind of swirled around him doing the UK show. And again, like I said earlier, I can kind of see how that would make sense. Sitting out the Italy because Hunter's going to be there and he probably knows he's not going to beat Hunter. In the UK, not to say it would be easy, but it would be an easier option. And as you saw in Dubai, I mean, even though he was off that Dubai Pro, he was still fourth and beat like over a dozen guys, even as an off version of his physique. So he probably could go into a show like the UK Pro where there's no heavy hitters, no top Olympians, just kind of regular tier bodybuilders, and probably have a good chance of winning even if he's off. And in these updates, to me, he looks off. I mean, he doesn't look like he's a week out from a show. And I know some people think I've been a little bit too hard on Rubiel for skipping the shows in the past, both the Arnold Classics, the New York Pro, now this Italy show. I'm telling you guys, it's becoming a pattern, and it's not a good pattern to have. I mean, even just from the standpoint of the fans, they get excited because you say you're going to do a show, they think they're going to get to see you compete, and then last minute they find out you're not there, and that starts happening over and over and over again. You're going to lose fans. Getting their hopes up, letting them down, becoming unreliable, and then, I mean, the promoters of those are going to not like working with you. Like in the case of the Arnold and the New York Pro, I was told that he directly committed to the promoters of the Arnold and Steve Weinberger, the promoter of the New York Pro, that he was going to do their show, and then didn't. So, like, in circumstances like that, a little bit worse than, his training partner said he's doing Italy, now he's not doing it. Like, committing to the promoter than not doing it. I mean, it's just not a good look. And then on top of that, after the Dubai show, kind of throwing his sponsors under the bus. It's not me trying to be hard on him. It's like he's kind of alienating everybody. Sponsors, fans, promoters. He's got to kind of change what he's doing here, because this is really not the trajectory of a fast rising star that he could be, but he's got to fix some of this stuff. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Rubiel, and what do you think the future holds for him as far as the rest of this year? Do you think we're going to see him at the UK show? Do you think we're going to see him at maybe a later qualifier for next year's Olympia? Or do you think we're not going to see him at all for the rest of the year? Now, next up in the news, I want to talk about the latest physique update from Rafael Brandao at 6 weeks out from the 2024 Mr. Olympia. Rafael had a really impressive year this year, arguably the best versions of Rafael that we had ever seen, winning the Arnold Classic Brazil in 2024, and a top 3 placing just behind Samson Dauda and Hadi Chupin at the Arnold Classic Ohio in 2024. Really, really solid packages from Rafael at both of those shows. And I think when we're talking about guys at the Olympia, when we're looking at, what's this top 10 going to look like? What is this top 6 going to look like? What's the first call-out going to look like? And you're thinking about what new guys that we didn't see in that top mix last year have the potential to really be in that mix. And I think Rafael is one of those guys. I mean, I think he showed us and demonstrated that he made pretty significant improvements this year at both the Arnold Ohio and the Arnold Brazil. And likely, looking at these updates and the size that he seems to have, it looks like he's made some improvements between that Arnold Classic Brazil and now, as far as putting on size, which seems to be his goal lately. And I was looking over the scorecards from last year's Olympia, 2023, yesterday, just kind of looking at that top 10 from last year and thinking about new guys that could be in there this year. And I think there's a lot of potential for that top 10 to really change this year, because if you look at last year, in that top 10, Charles Griffin in 10th, Regan Grimes in 9th, Michael Krizo in 7th. Just right off the bat, none of those guys are going to be there. And then even there was Hassan Mustafa in 11th. He's not going to be there. And I think you combine that with the fact that at his last Olympia, Rafael's last Olympia in 2022, he was top 10. And I think nobody would argue he looked a lot better at the Arnold Classic Ohio than he looked at that last Olympia in 2022, significantly improved from that look. I think there's really no doubt in my mind that Rafael, if he's on, he's going to be in that top 10. And, Nick Walker wasn't there last year. He'll be there this year, so that's a placing. Derek, Hadi, Samson, I think, are all still going to be the very tip-top of that top 10, top 3, top 4. Brandon Curry, Andrew Jack, Hunter Labrada, they're probably all going to be in that, first call-out top 6 mix. I think you're probably going to see Rafael in that 6th or 7th place range, especially, the absence of Michael Krizo. Tonio Burton was 8th last year. Rafael beat Tonio at the Arnold Classic Brazil. I mean, if you really look at the placings data and try to figure out where Rafael would fall, I mean, it sure seems like he's got a real shot at being really in the mix this year for the first time. I mean, even though he was top 10 in 2022, I think this will be the first year that we really see Rafael pushing for one of those top spots, really maybe pushing his way into that first call out, getting some really good comparisons. We talk about Samson Dauda and Hadi Chupin as being, likely in in that top 3 at least this year. And we just got to see Rafael, stand with them and kind of hold his own at the Arnold Classic in that top 3 call out, just right behind Hadi Chupin and Samson. And I think there's a lot of potential for Rafael this year to really make a move into that, elite group of guys. Top 10 was great in 2022, but I think he's going to push even deeper into that mix this year. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Rafael's potential performance at the 2024 Mr. Olympia. I have a feeling he's going to do really well. And I think the final story of this video should be Hunter Labrada's latest update. This was yesterday. And I think, now looking at all the updates, looking at the competitor list, knowing everything we know now about the Italy Pro, like I said, I think this is Hunter's show. He would have to be, I think, incredibly off to lose this show. So my prediction, Hunter Labrada comes in here, wins this thing relatively easily. I think he's going to look incredible. I don't think he's going to be off. I think he's going to be dialed. I think he's going to be peaked correctly. And I just think, in the absence of Neckzilla, it's going to be kind of a blowout, I feel. And again, I hate saying things like that because it feels disrespectful to the other competitors. But, bodybuilding, there's just different tiers of bodybuilders. And Hunter Labrada is a top-tier, world-class, one of the best in the world. He's a first call-out Olympian. And, I mean, the fact of the matter is there's just no other top Olympians in this lineup. There's no other really big names here. And at least with Rubiel, you kind of had the mystery of his freak factor. If he went up with Hunter Labrada, maybe there's a chance just because he's so crazy. But it seems like for this Italy show, Hunter's kind of in a league of his own in this lineup. But it is bodybuilding. Anything could happen. Hunter could have some kind of issue and come in totally off, and maybe some guy sneaks in there and beats him. But, outside of that, I don't see Hunter losing this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.